The more you care for a woman, the less she'll respect you. Female psychology, modern Stoic. The more you give, the more you lose. Anonymous. Let's address a belief that might challenge what many of us have been taught. If you think that by showering a woman with love, attention, and care, she'll love you more in return, then you might already be setting yourself up for disappointment. Welcome back to Blessing of Stoicism. Today's topic may be a bit tough to swallow, but it's an important truth. The more you care for a woman, the less respect you will earn from her. Before you jump to conclusions, let's clarify. This isn't about becoming cold, unfeeling, or disrespectful. It's about understanding how women react to energy, attention, and the dynamics at play in relationships. From a young age, many men are taught that giving more, whether it's time, effort, or affection, will lead to more love in return. But in reality, this approach often backfires. Instead of gaining respect, you may find yourself being taken for granted. Instead of appreciation, you might feel overlooked. Why is this the case? Because women are not attracted to men who put them on a pedestal. What truly draws them in are the men they respect, those who stand firm in their purpose, have a strong sense of direction, and sometimes even make them work a little to gain their attention. When you give too much too soon, it doesn't feel romantic. It feels needy, weak, and as though you're trying to buy her affection through constant validation. And whether she admits it or not, this type of behavior kills attraction. In this post, I'm going to break down why this happens, the subtle mistakes you may be making without even realizing it, and how to change your approach so you can be respected, desired, and never seen as disposable again. Let's dive into this and start making changes for the better. 1. She doesn't want a servant. Many men, in their desire to impress a woman and win her affection, unknowingly cross the fine line between being supportive and being submissive, leading them to a place where they unintentionally begin to lose the respect they originally had. This is a scenario that many men experience, though they may not realize it until it's too late. It starts innocently enough, wanting to show a woman that you are different, dependable, caring, and capable of being a solid partner. You believe that by offering help and support, adjusting your schedule for her, or going out of your way to show how much you care, you are building a strong foundation for the relationship. But what many men don't recognize is that, in their efforts to prove their worth, they begin to act in ways that are counterproductive. Over time, the constant need to do for her without taking into account your own needs, desires, or boundaries can cause a shift in how she sees you. The more you act like a servant, constantly putting her needs first, doing her favors, solving her problems, and seeking her approval through action, the less she starts to view you as the strong, independent man she may have originally been attracted to. Instead of a man she admires and respects, she begins to see you as someone who is trying to earn her love, and that energy, no matter how well-intentioned, feels weak and unattractive. The very qualities that you think will win her affection, being constantly helpful, generous with your time, and eager to please, are often perceived as signs of insecurity. She might begin to sense that you are trying too hard, and that is when the attraction begins to fade. Once this shift happens, she may begin to test you, either consciously or unconsciously, to see how far she can push. She will ask for more, push boundaries, and expect things from you, just to see how far you will go. When you continue to say yes to everything, when you never push back, and when you never assert your own desires or boundaries, she begins to lose respect for you. A healthy relationship thrives on mutual respect, and respect cannot grow if one partner is always giving and the other is always receiving without any real effort or reciprocity. If you are always saying yes and bending over backward for her, you risk becoming the person she can use, rather than the person she can admire and rely on. It's important to note that women don't intentionally want to control their partners. Often, the dynamic happens because you've made it easy for her to take you for granted. If you never make her work for your affection, if you never require her to appreciate what you do, she may begin to take you and your efforts for granted. This doesn't mean she doesn't appreciate your gestures or your support, but it does mean that you've stopped setting the boundaries that are necessary for respect to flourish. Respect in a relationship is built when she can see that you have a life of your own, when she can see that you have boundaries, and when she can see that you are capable of saying no without fear. However, many men are afraid to set these boundaries. They fear that if they stop being overly helpful, she will lose interest or, worse, the relationship will fall apart. But in reality, if you are constantly overgiving, she's already beginning to lose interest, not because you're not doing enough, but because you're doing too much without making her earn it. She is losing respect for you, not because you're failing to meet her needs, but because you're putting her on a pedestal and trying to prove your worth to her in a way that makes you seem weak rather than strong. This imbalance in the relationship can cause her to feel as though she's dating someone who is more like an employee than a partner. Women don't want to feel like they are dating someone who is constantly at their beck and call, someone who exists only to please them and fulfill their needs. They want to be with a man who has his own life, his own goals, and his own sense of purpose. A woman wants to feel supported, but she also wants to feel like she's beside a man who doesn't just drop everything for her at every request. The key to desire and attraction is balance. The balance comes when a man knows when to be there for his partner and when to assert his own needs and desires. A woman can respect and admire a man who has the confidence to say no, who has the strength to lead, and who has the self-respect to know that his value is not determined by his willingness to constantly give. If you're always giving more than she is, always doing more than she is, always making sacrifices without asking for anything in return, then you're not in a balanced relationship. You're in a transactional dynamic where your actions and efforts are being measured against her lack of effort. Over time, this kind of imbalance will cause her to lose respect for you, and she may eventually walk away from the relationship, not because you didn't give enough, but because you gave too much, too freely, and without making her earn it. Think about it this way. Relationships are not built on one-sided transactions. They are built on mutual effort, respect, and understanding. If you want a relationship that lasts, it's crucial to remember that being overly nice or constantly helpful will not win her over. Instead, you need to become the man she can admire, the man she can respect, someone who doesn't sacrifice his own needs and desires just to make her happy. In fact, by maintaining your boundaries, by showing that you have your own life and your own passions, you will actually make her more attracted to you. The more you focus on becoming the man she can respect, the more she will value you and the stronger your connection will become. As Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." A man who has a purpose, who understands his value, and who is confident in who he is, will never be afraid to say no, to set boundaries, or to assert his own needs. He will naturally command respect, and in turn, his partner will respect and admire him more. Relationships are about mutual effort, not self-sacrifice. Stop thinking that being overly nice will win her over. Instead, focus on becoming the man who commands respect and admiration, someone she can admire and feel attracted to. If you found yourself in this cycle of overgiving, it's time to take a step back and reflect on your boundaries. Start being the man she can truly admire. I want to hear your thoughts. Have you ever found yourself giving too much in a relationship, only to feel like it's not being appreciated? Share your feedback, experiences, or any insights you've gained from this video in the comments below. Let's get a conversation started. To remind yourself of your worth and to take charge of your relationships, comment below. I am a man of value and self-respect. 2. Nice guys get ignored. It's time to confront a truth that many men find uncomfortable but absolutely need to hear. Being the nice guy doesn't guarantee you'll win a woman's heart or attention. In fact, more often than not, it leads to being overlooked or, worse, dismissed altogether. This isn't because women dislike kindness or compassion. Far from it. Women value kindness deeply, but what they truly respond to is kindness that flows naturally from strength, confidence, and self-respect. The problem is that many nice guys show kindness from a place of insecurity or weakness, and women instinctively sense this. They can tell when your niceness is a mask for neediness rather than a genuine expression of who you are. There's a big difference between being kind because you're a strong, grounded man and being kind because you want something in return. Many nice guys fall into the trap of believing that if they just treat a woman well, avoid any kind of conflict, and constantly put her needs before their own, she will eventually notice them and fall for them. They think that by being endlessly available, always agreeing with her, and suppressing their own desires, they're demonstrating love and respect. But this approach is misguided and often counterproductive. Instead of coming across as noble or loving, it registers as needy, desperate, or even weak. Women aren't attracted to men who lack a backbone or who have no sense of self. They are drawn to men who are confident, self-assured, and who have the courage to stand firm on their values and desires. If you're always saying yes, always trying to please, you risk becoming invisible. Just another background character rather than the leading man in your own life. You blend into the crowd instead of standing out as someone of value and substance. What many men don't realize is that being a nice guy often carries an unspoken agenda. You're being nice not purely because it's who you are, but because you hope for something in return, usually her attention, affection, or validation. And here's the catch. Women see right through this. They pick up on the fact that your kindness is conditional, that it's a transaction rather than a gift. When niceness is transactional, respect starts to slip away because it no longer feels genuine. At some point, she begins to perceive you less as a potential romantic partner and more as a friend, or worse, someone who lacks the strength to be anything else. The emotional spark fades because you aren't presenting yourself as a challenge or a prize worth pursuing. Instead, you become predictable, safe, and frankly boring. The very traits you hoped would win her over push her away. It's important to clarify. Kindness is not the enemy. Being kind is essential and powerful when it comes from a place of authenticity and strength. The problem arises when kindness is your only tactic, when it's all you have to offer. Women respect men who are genuine, who combine kindness with strength, who stand up for themselves, and who know their worth without compromising it to earn approval. Being too nice often means you've given up your own power. You rob yourself of your ability to be firm, to set boundaries, and to be unapologetically yourself. This doesn't mean you need to be rude or disrespectful. It means you need to stop trying so hard to please at the expense of your own identity. The real power lies in being authentic, confident, and comfortable in your own skin. In today's modern world, where genuine connection is harder to find and emotional intelligence is highly valued, this lesson is more important than ever. Overthinking every interaction or trying to control how you're perceived only drains your energy and authenticity. Instead, focus on being yourself unapologetically. Let go of the need to perform niceness as a means to an end, and cultivate kindness that comes naturally from your inner strength. When you do this, the dynamic changes. Attraction grows not because you're bending over backward, but because you are a man who knows his value, sets clear boundaries, and isn't afraid to be a little challenging or unpredictable. This balance between kindness and strength is the cornerstone of true respect and lasting attraction. So, stop being the nice guy who plays it safe, avoids conflict, and sacrifices his own needs to please others. Start being the man who knows his worth, stands firm in his principles, and isn't afraid to show his true self, even if it means being a bit difficult or unpredictable. In doing so, you'll move from being ignored to being respected, from being overlooked to becoming genuinely desired. Remember, real attraction is built on respect, authenticity, and strength, qualities that no amount of nice guy behavior alone can create. 3. Confidence outweighs attention. Confidence outweighs attention. This is the foundational truth every man must internalize to master female psychology and embody the modern Stoic ideal. Too many men make the critical mistake of equating caring with value, chasing after a woman's affection with desperate neediness, thinking that the more attention they give, the more respect they'll earn. This is a trap, a psychological snare that destroys your power and diminishes your presence. The truth is brutal but liberating. The more you care too much, the less respect she has for you. The more you seek validation, the less you command it. Women do not respect desperation. They respect strength. They respect a man who stands unshaken by the tides of emotion, who carries himself with unbreakable confidence. This is not about cold detachment or emotional absence. It's about owning your worth with such certainty that your value cannot be questioned. The Stoics taught us to master our emotions, to be the calm within the storm. This is the mindset that creates magnetic attraction, where confidence is the currency and attention is the illusion. Friedrich Nietzsche nailed it when he said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Your why is your unshakable confidence, your refusal to collapse into neediness or insecurity. When you ground yourself in this, you stop chasing. Instead, you attract. The irony is powerful. When you stop caring too much, your care becomes meaningful. When you stop begging for attention, attention seeks you. The modern woman does not want a man who worships her feet. She wants a man who walks beside her with dignity and strength. This is not a call for arrogance. It is a call for mastery over yourself and your desires. Remember Robert Greene's words: respect is earned, honesty is appreciated, trust is gained, loyalty is returned. Respect is not handed out because you pay enough compliments or bend over backwards. Respect is earned by standing firm when emotions pull you down, by showing unwavering self-respect in every interaction. Your value is your fortress. Guard it fiercely. Do not give it away in petty displays of over-attention. Women feel this instinctively. When a man is desperate, he loses his aura of power. When a man is confident, he commands respect without uttering a word. In today's digital age, distractions and constant connectivity make it easy to fall into the validation trap. Texts, likes, social media notifications, they are seductive poisons that feed insecurity and erode masculine presence. Break free from these chains. Become the master of your emotions, your time, your energy. This mastery radiates a magnetic power that women cannot ignore. Your mission is clear. Stop chasing the illusion of respect through attention. Build your confidence like a fortress. Live with purpose, ambition, and relentless focus on your growth. When you do, you become the prize, not the pursuer. Don't confuse fleeting attention with true respect. Attention is cheap. Respect is priceless and earned only through strength and self-control. A man who commands respect inspires desire. He is chosen, not begged for. This is power. This is control. This is the essence of modern masculinity refined through Stoic wisdom. Your path forward is one of discipline and self-mastery. Harness your emotions. Channel your energy towards your goals. Stand firm when others crumble in uncertainty. Own your value with unapologetic authority. This is how you transform from a man desperate for love into a man who embodies it on his own terms. It is said by Lao Tzu, "Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. Claim that power, own it, and watch how the world and the woman you desire bends toward your command. Like this post if you're ready to own your confidence and reclaim your power. Comment below, "I'm the master of my value." Subscribe now to join a brotherhood of men rising beyond need and into strength. Your journey to respect, control, and unstoppable masculinity begins right now. No excuses, no hesitation. Take the first step and never look back. Comment below, "I am the master of my value." 4. Respect comes from distance, not devotion. Here's a harsh reality you need to accept. The more you pour yourself into a woman, the less respect you'll earn from her. Many men fall into the misconception that by being constantly available, proving their commitment, and prioritizing her above all else, they are securing respect. But the truth is, this behavior often drives her away. Respect is not earned by endless devotion or by being at her beck and call. Too many men confuse devotion with respect, mistakenly thinking that focusing all their attention on a woman will make her appreciate them more. What actually happens, however, is that they become too accessible, too dependent, and that's not attractive to a woman. Respect, in fact, is earned by maintaining your boundaries, keeping your independence, and having your own passions and goals. When you give too much too often, she starts to take you for granted, seeing you as a predictable presence in her life rather than someone who adds excitement and value. When you prioritize her needs and desires constantly, you send the message that you have nothing else going on, and that's where the respect begins to fade. What women truly find attractive is a man who knows his own worth, who has his own life, and who doesn't constantly orbit around her every move. It's vital to have a life that exists beyond her. Otherwise, you'll risk becoming the person she expects to always be there, but without a sense of mystery, challenge, or emotional autonomy. The more devoted you are, without any space or distance, the more desperate you appear, and desperation is never attractive. Respect is a direct result of maintaining a sense of mystery, of not making her the sole center of your world. When you stop giving away your time too freely, stop being so available, you create a dynamic where she starts to value your presence more because you are not always there. It's not about playing games or being distant for the sake of manipulation, but rather about maintaining your self-respect, which in turn garners respect from her. A powerful quote from the ancient Stoics says, "He who is not a good servant will not be a good master." This rings true in relationships as well. If you lose yourself in someone else, constantly giving up your own boundaries, you're essentially sacrificing your own worth. The more you bend to her desires, the less she'll see you as a strong, independent man with value. Women want someone who is self-sufficient, who can stand tall on his own, and whose life doesn't revolve around their relationship. It's a paradox. By being devoted to your own growth, by having your own goals, you become more attractive, and consequently, more respected. Think about this. When you prioritize her over yourself, you're teaching her that your needs come second. You're letting her know that your boundaries are flexible, and that's a recipe for disrespect. However, when you value your time, set clear boundaries, and focus on your personal development, it creates a sense of mystery and intrigue that makes her respect you more. A man who is strong in his own right, who is driven by his own purpose, is far more magnetic than someone who sacrifices his own identity for her. Respect in a relationship isn't about constantly being there or being overly available. It's about being the man who knows when to step back, maintain his individuality, and keep his life moving forward, irrespective of her presence. Stop being so easily accessible. Stop trying to prove your devotion at the expense of your own dignity. Be the man who respects his own boundaries and lives with purpose. When you start focusing on your own growth and development, you'll earn the respect you're looking for. Aristotle once said, "The more you know, the more you realize you don't know." This journey of self-growth and maintaining boundaries will elevate your value in her eyes. Your independence is what makes you powerful. Respect is earned from distance, not from devotion. What are your thoughts on this? Share your experiences and opinions in the comments below. 5. Too available means no value. One of the most overlooked and yet profoundly important truths about relationships is that being overly available to a woman can actually diminish your value in her eyes, often leading to a loss of respect and attraction. This common mistake stems from a natural desire to show care and affection, but the paradox is that this well-meaning effort frequently results in the opposite outcome: indifference and disengagement. When you meet a woman you like, it's almost instinctual to respond immediately to every text, cancel your own plans whenever she wants to meet, and always be present at her call. You believe this demonstrates love and commitment, but from her perspective, it can signal desperation and a lack of personal ambition or purpose. This misunderstanding comes down to a fundamental principle that value is not created through abundance, but scarcity. When your time and attention are infinite and endlessly available, they lose their meaning because anything easily acquired is often taken for granted. Consider a man who just began dating and immediately texts "good morning" and "good night," frequently checks in throughout the day, and drops everything whenever she reaches out. Initially, this may feel flattering to her, but very quickly, this intense availability turns into a predictable routine devoid of excitement, challenge, or mystery. She comes to realize that she doesn't need to work to earn his time. It's always there, ready and waiting. This automatic availability unintentionally paints a picture of a man without ambition, one whose life revolves entirely around her. Ironically, this undermines the attraction because women naturally gravitate toward men who have their own mission, direction, and sense of purpose, qualities that convey strength, confidence, and self-respect. When your time is limited and your presence must be earned, it creates intrigue and excitement that keeps her engaged. It transforms interactions from mundane routines into meaningful moments she truly values. On the contrary, if you chase her relentlessly, always say yes, and sacrifice your own priorities to be constantly available, you teach her that your time is cheap and easily accessible, which erodes respect and desire over time. Understanding this difference is crucial. Caring deeply about a woman doesn't mean becoming her emotional caretaker or being on call 24/7. True respect arises from balance, the delicate balance between showing genuine interest and maintaining your independence and boundaries. Attention without limits becomes meaningless. Time without effort loses its significance. Your goal should be to make her feel lucky when she gets your attention, not bored or indifferent because it is expected and effortless to obtain. By consciously stepping back, setting clear limits, and making your presence something she must earn, you elevate your value in her eyes and foster a connection built on mutual respect and authentic attraction. In today's modern world, where instant connectivity and constant communication blur the lines between being present and being desperate, embracing a stoic, measured approach can be transformative for men. The modern Stoic doesn't sacrifice self-worth for fleeting affection, but holds his ground with purpose and composure, showing that his life has direction beyond any relationship. This mindset not only protects your dignity, but also naturally draws women in, because it signals that you are a man with goals, standards, and self-control. When a woman senses that your attention is not a given, but something meaningful she earns, it creates a dynamic of appreciation and desire. It reminds her that relationships aren't just about availability, they're about quality, respect, and value. So, rather than flooding her with unlimited access and attention, be selective and intentional with your time. Pursue your passions, nurture your ambitions, and let her see that you are a man with a life worth having. This is what turns care into respect, and respect into lasting attraction. Comment below, "My time is valuable and my presence is earned." 6. Overgiving looks desperate. Overgiving is the invisible poison that destroys respect, kills desire, and erases the very essence of a man's power in a relationship. Many men believe that by constantly giving, whether it's time, attention, or affection, they're showing their love and proving their worth. They think that being the good guy, the one who always shows up and gives her everything she wants, will win her heart forever. But here's the brutal truth. The more you give, without demanding anything in return, the less you matter. Desperation is a disease, and overgiving is its loudest symptom. When you pour yourself out endlessly, putting her needs above your own to the point of self-erasure, you don't become indispensable, you become invisible. A man without boundaries, without identity, and ultimately without respect. The more you overgive, the more she takes you for granted. She stops valuing your time because it's always there. She stops appreciating your attention because it's always hers. And she stops desiring you because she doesn't have to work for it. Respect and attraction are born in the tension of challenge, in the dance of give and take, in the sacred space where both partners invest equally and value each other's efforts. As the great philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche said, He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. When you lose your why, your own life, ambitions, passions, and become a man who revolves only around her needs, you lose your power, and with it, her respect. This isn't about superficial generosity or favours, it's about emotional depletion. When you give too much of yourself emotionally, constantly seeking approval and validation, you drain your own energy. You stop being the strong, grounded man she's attracted to and become a desperate, needy figure clinging to her attention. This is not love, it's dependency, and dependency is a magnet for disrespect. Remember, a woman respects a man who respects himself first. Desperation screams louder than words ever could. I don't value myself enough to maintain boundaries. And boundaries are the fortress of respect. Without them, you become a doormat, not a man. Stop confusing kindness with weakness. There is a difference between generosity and surrender. Being generous is powerful. Surrendering your identity is fatal. When you refuse to overgive, you send a clear message. You have a life beyond her, ambitions that don't bend, and a self-worth that isn't up for negotiation. This shifts the dynamic instantly. She begins to chase you, to invest, to respect the man who commands his own value. The modern man must embrace Stoicism, a mindset of inner strength, self-control, and emotional resilience. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your boundaries, your refusal to overgive, become the pathway to deeper respect and lasting attraction. You are not her servant, you are her equal, her challenge, her prize. To all men listening, stop giving to be loved. Start living for yourself first. Pursue your goals, cultivate your passions, guard your energy, and respect your own time. When you do, you don't just build attraction, you build a legacy of self-respect and power that no woman can ignore. This is your call to arms. Set your boundaries today. Define what you will and won't give. Share below your boundary statement, one sentence that proclaims your value. Like, comment, subscribe, and join a brotherhood of men mastering the art of respect, attraction, and true power. Because in the game of love and life, only those who control what they give truly win. 8. She tests what she doesn't respect. When a woman tests you, it's often not because she's trying to make things difficult or cause drama. In fact, in most cases, her tests are a way for her to determine if you are truly worthy of her respect and trust. She may do this through subtle behaviours or direct challenges, pushing your buttons or testing your emotional reactions. But ultimately, these tests aren't about trying to make your life harder. They're about discovering if you possess the qualities that make you a man she can respect and depend on. If you notice that she is testing you, whether through her words, actions, or even her distant behaviour, it's often an indication that she doesn't fully respect you yet, or, at the very least, doesn't know if you can be the kind of man who can hold his ground when it counts. The reality is, if she respects you, she won't feel the need to test you constantly. She'll already know you have the qualities necessary to be a strong, dependable partner. But when she's unsure, either because you've been overly available, overly accommodating, or haven't shown the strength and emotional resilience she needs from a man, these tests will become more frequent. Think about it. A woman might engage in what could be considered little challenges. She might joke at your expense, cancel plans last minute, or act distant to see how you'll react. These are often indirect ways of testing whether you'll accept behaviour that lacks respect, or whether you'll call her out when she oversteps. Many men fall into the trap of tolerating these small behaviours in the hopes of keeping the peace. But this is exactly where things start to go wrong. If you don't stand your ground, she will start to view you as someone who can be easily manipulated or pushed around. She won't believe that you have the strength to handle a serious, committed relationship. This is the crucial moment when respect starts to fade and attraction begins to dwindle. The truth is, when a woman sees that you can't stand up for yourself, she will start to feel like she can't rely on you. And on some deeper, subconscious level, she will lose her respect for you because she'll know you're not emotionally strong enough to handle challenges or difficult situations. On the flip side, if you handle these tests with confidence, calmness, and assertiveness, without reacting emotionally or becoming defensive, you send a powerful message. You respect yourself, and you have the emotional fortitude to handle anything life or the relationship throws your way. Let's consider a scenario where she keeps cancelling plans with you at the last minute. If you continually change your schedule around without calling her out on it, you're teaching her that you're always available for her, on her terms. However, if you respond calmly, saying something like, "I understand things come up, but I won't keep rearranging my schedule for someone who doesn't respect my time," you show her that you have boundaries, that your time is valuable, and that you won't be treated like an afterthought. This kind of assertiveness not only makes it clear that you won't tolerate disrespect, but it also signals that you have enough self-worth to not chase after someone who doesn't prioritize you. It's not about being harsh or dismissive. It's about maintaining your emotional composure and asserting your needs without getting emotionally needy or overly reactive. This is the key difference between a man who is seen as strong and capable versus one who is seen as weak or dependent. A woman, deep down, wants to feel that she is with a man who can handle adversity, who has emotional resilience, and who won't just roll over when faced with challenges. When you demonstrate that you can stay calm and assertive under pressure, you are indirectly showing her that you are the kind of man who can lead, who can navigate difficult situations, and who is emotionally mature enough to handle both the highs and lows of a relationship. The most important factor in all of this is consistency. It's not enough to stand your ground once in a while and then cave in when things get tough. You need to be consistent with your boundaries and your self-respect. If you're always accommodating her behavior, always letting her push your buttons without standing firm, she'll start to see you as someone who can't be counted on for a real relationship. But if you make it clear, through consistent action, that you won't tolerate disrespect or emotional manipulation, the dynamic will change. Slowly but surely, her respect for you will grow. And when she respects you, the tests will begin to fade, because she'll have no reason to doubt your ability to handle a real, committed relationship. As you continue to assert your boundaries and maintain your emotional strength, you'll start to notice a deeper level of attraction from her. In the end, it's all about self-respect and emotional strength. Women want to be with men who are emotionally secure enough to handle life's challenges and the ups and downs of a relationship. If you can demonstrate that you are a man who respects himself and won't tolerate behavior that undermines that respect, she'll start to see you in a new light. The tests won't disappear overnight, but they will diminish as you consistently show up as the strong, assertive man that she needs in her life. When that respect is firmly in place, a stronger, more genuine connection will follow. So ask yourself, how do you handle the tests in your own relationships? Are you standing firm in your boundaries, or are you giving in too easily to avoid conflict? I'd love to hear your thoughts and personal experiences in the comments below. Let's start a conversation about the challenges and rewards of maintaining self-respect in our relationships. Alright, that's it for today, guys. I hope you found this video valuable and insightful. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more content like this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic, whether you agree, disagree, or have any personal experiences you want to share. Feel free to drop your comments below. Let's get a conversation going. Remember, the more you respect yourself and set boundaries, the more others will respect you too. Until next time, take care and stay strong.